Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Catalano, the CEO of School of Rock. The music school you wish you had when you were a kid, School of Rock is an ingenious concept that gets kids and adults rocking out to the classics and up and performing with their peers. And we're going to talk to Chris about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Catalano, the CEO of School of Rock. The music school you wish you had when you were a kid, School of Rock is an ingenious concept that gets kids and adults rocking out to the classics and up and performing with their peers. Hey, Chris, how you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Marty.
How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing well.
That's
doing very
good.
well.
That's good. It's great to have you on the show. I've been very excited. I've been following you for some time now, so to have you on the show today is a real privilege. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Chris?
Just outside of Chicago.
Ah, fantastic. How's the weather there today, Chris?
Gray.
It is. Okay, it's great here, too.
It's not quite warm enough.
Okay. The same here. It warmed up a bit in Pennsylvania, and it went back to its old ways again. It's just very gray here today.
That's my stomping grounds.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. So you know. Probably our guests are saying to themselves, Chris, they're saying, what is School of Rock? How would you describe the concept?
Sure, yeah. School of Rock is a performance-based music education company. So we, build schools in neighborhoods and communities, and I like to say we try to become the music in that community. And we focus on performances. It's a better way to teach kids, but we put on shows and cast kids into shows all the while they're learning their instrument.
Wow. I wish that something like this was around when I was a kid, Chris. I grew up in the 80s. I'm not sure what generation you grew up in, but it just to have something like this, I just said, God, I wish there was something like this, when I was a kid. It just would have been really exciting. And again, you can still do it because, of course, adults, take part in this whole thing as well. How did the whole concept come about? I mean, it sounds like there's an interesting story behind it.
Yeah, there is, and I know you get it when you say, I wish they had this when I was a kid. Excuse me, because that's essentially the reaction for most people who become, fans of what we do. But
right.
the company was actually founded in Philadelphia by a gentleman by the name of Paul Green, who's no longer involved with the company, but he was a musician. And I think he believes, rightly so, and certainly this exists today, that music education has been broken in the United States, at least for a long period of time. And
yes.
I think much like foreign education, language education is sort of broken. And what I mean by that is, if you're taking music lessons traditionally, you start with scales and you focus on chords and the theory and all that, and a kid gets bored really quickly. I know I was one of those kids, right? And all I wanted to, I was a little before your time. I'd say I grew up in the 70s, at least as a teenager, and a younger kid, and that was when I was taking my lessons. And I remember all I wanted to do was play Elton John on the piano, and I was practicing scales, and she was giving me the Blue Danube. And there's nothing wrong with the Blue Danube.
Sure.
It just didn't inspire me. And what's really funny is I absolutely loved sitting down at the piano and playing piano, but I couldn't stand my lessons. And it doesn't need to be that way. So he saw this, and he created this opportunity of getting kids playing as quickly as possible and getting them on stage and playing with their peers. So not only, instead of just teaching them a lesson and having them play with other instruments, and then having something out in the future, not too distant future, where you're going to actually be putting on a performance. And that sort of changes the whole dynamic, the motivation, the interest level of playing. And it just really works well.
It sure does. I think when you're playing, you're going to play in front of other people. That certainly inspires you to.
It's inspiring,
get it
and motivating too, right?
Absolutely, most definitely. So, how many locations are there now, Chris, in the United States and even other countries, I guess?
Yeah. We have 108 schools open and operating now, and we have a few in Mexico. We just opened one recently in Brazil, a second one opened in Brazil in the next literally couple of weeks. We had an opening a few weeks ago in Canada. We have a test going in Australia right now, and then we've closed deals but are yet to open in the Philippines, Chile. So there's a lot of international growth coming, even though, to be honest with you, we've been principally focused on the U.S. People like you say, I wish they had this when I were a kid in other countries. And the truth is, the guitar plays the same way, and the music that people listen to in many ways, especially as it relates to this genre, is the same across the globe. So, we're not challenged by, food distribution networks or things like that, which would limit our ability to sort of, take advantage of the interest that we're getting in international markets. So we opportunistically have pursued that as well.
That's fantastic. How is School of Rock different from the other music school concepts that are out there, Chris? I know you touched on some of them, but is there anything else?
Well, yeah. I mean, I did. I at the root of it, I sort of just explained about our performance-based approach. But the truly unique thing is that we like this. I actually tell people we're not in the music education business, and they look at me like I'm strange, and I say we're really in the inspiration business. And stages inspire people, right? And there's a few things beyond learning the instrument that you get out of becoming someone who's involved with School of Rock. And I validate this because I speak to parents all the time, and the parents say to me, "You've changed my child's life." They never come to me and say, "You've made my child a great guitar player or drum." And I say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And they say, "Well, first of all, they just understand how to deal with other people, because playing in a band, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity, Marty, but it's actually one of the it's challenging, right?
Absolutely.
It's really challenging. So this idea of teamwork through music and playing in a band, I would argue, I was into sports and music, and I think I learned a lot more playing in a band than I ever did on the field playing a team sport. You can hide on a soccer field and your team can still win, but if you're playing a pretty bad bass line, that music isn't going to sound too good, right? So there's this teamwork aspect of it, and then in addition to that, because they're ending up on stage, how many adults do you know that can't take a stage and actually speak? This idea of self-confidence, which we all know is really important in kids.
Right.
We tend to sort of really help kids sort of realize that potential. I always say the young kid who plays the first year bass and he's back there staring at his amp and he won't even stare at the crowd. And the next year that same kid is jumping off the front of the stage singing Zeppelin.
That would be a great feeling to see something like that too, Chris. I mean, you get to see it firsthand, don't you?
You absolutely do.
And you hear about those stories.
We do. I get emails that I could never use for marketing purposes, but they make you sort of glow. It's easy, I would tell you, it's easy to get up in the morning and do this business.
Absolutely. It's a fun business. You had some interesting things when I was researching you. There was some summer camps, Metal Camp and Little Wing. I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking, actually. I've talked to you about, kids because the lion's share of our students tend to be in that 7 to 18-year-old range. But we do address all age groups. As a matter of fact, there's tremendous demand for adult programs, people like yourself who might want to get back on a stage, or for somebody who's never done it but has played the instrument by themselves and they always had this passion to do it. So we run adult programs, and that obviously runs anywhere from 21 to, however old you are. We don't put an age limit on that. But we saw a gap in the market 2 years ago, and, I looked out there at what people were doing in preschool music education, and I wasn't inspired by what was available. And I thought that we were really well positioned to do something about it. So we created a sub-brand and a whole new business called Little Wing. And it's really for, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. And rather, because the motor skills, aren't there for them to, let's say, play a guitar or play piano yet, it doesn't mean they don't have a musical soul. Music is part of human nature. It's part of all of our soul. So what we tried to do was create a program that was band-like at their level, but really about inspiring them musically as opposed to teaching them how to play a specific instrument. We just want to inspire them. And along the way, their brains are like sponges. They just take so much in at that age. And we wanted to be able to get them, even though we're not telling them we're teaching them something, the way we run the activities, they sort of learn certain things like beats, counting in terms of the rhythms, and we do ear training. So we play a piece of music, and they learn the instruments, and then they can pick out the instrument that's being played in that piece of music. And we do those kinds of things, and it's really wonderful. I'm terribly excited about it. We just launched it, and it hasn't been part of the franchise, but going forward, it's going to be integrated into the franchise agreement. And it represents a whole new opportunity for our franchisees, and it's a hell of a lot of fun, right?
That's fantastic.
So that's that part, and then the last piece that you sort of raised is, we do occasionally. There's a few things that we do that are outside of the schools that are more tour in nature or camp in nature. So the Metal Camp was driven by this group of of students that we have that are sort of real metalheads, right? And sort of they're outcasts from society.
Sure, absolutely.
And we love them, and we want to embrace them. So we wanted to give them their own camp, an opportunity to come together, and we'll have like Metal Mike come, and we'll have some, artists in the industry come, and they pay to be part of this. And then we've had it at Camp Lakota and outside of New York, and it's been wonderful. It's been really, really great for them. And then the last piece is, each year we go through a selection process and we select the best in our system, and that's called our School of Rock All-Stars. And these are truly special kids. These are 150 of the best kids in the country, actually internationally, because we've had, last year we had one or two children from Mexico come on the tour as well. And they go on a real live rock tour, and we run 5 regional tours, and they end up playing on some of the most prominent stages. This year it looks like we're going to be ending 3 of the tours at Lollapalooza, and the kids are going to be playing Lollapalooza, for instance. So that's a really special opportunity for the kids, too, and it's something that they aspire to be involved with. Part of the secret of what we do in the schools as well is we create aspiration at every level for these kids to achieve to a new level. And that's the culmination of the highest level of achievement in School of Rock, is become a national all-star.
Wow, you talk about inspirational, Chris. I was, reading earlier, too, I guess they shared the stage with Alice Cooper, Peter Frampton, Eddie Vedder, Slash. I mean, those are some pretty big names, aren't they?
What's really funny is, we our instructors, we have a phrase associated with, I call them the immutable truths of our brand, and one of the immutable truths of our brand is that we seek instructors who live to play and play to live. So what's really funny, and of course what I mean by that is, if you really want to inspire a kid, put sort of a talented musician in front of them who might still be out on tour, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And they come back from tour and they can talk about the tour because of the performance. But those guys or gals are watching these kids take these stages and play with these artists, and they're jealous, right?
That's amazing. Oh, absolutely. That's fantastic. Maybe we could talk a little bit about, you're talking about your instructors, maybe like the franchisees. I mean, what attributes or characteristics do you look for in your franchisees, Chris?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I tell you, first and foremost, obviously it's a business. So we want somebody who's business-minded, but we don't want somebody who's just driven by making a dollar, right? You can make a dollar by, making a cup of coffee or making a sandwich or anything, right? Exactly. So we want somebody who's passionate about what we do. So we look for people at the intersection of someone who's business-minded but musically passionate. It doesn't mean they have to play an instrument. They just need to be sort of, really interested and motivated by music, whatever their passion might be. And that's enough. And then, of course, if you don't like, working with kids, you probably wouldn't like our business either, right? So we want you to be able to work with kids. And then beyond that, really we're community-based. We're a neighborhood business. So I find that the franchisees who do the best in our system are the ones who sort of embrace their community, work their community, put on free concerts, get to know everybody in the community. You become the default music in that community, and they work well with parents. And if you can talk to parents well and talk to kids well, this is probably the business for you. And it's a wonderful business if you have those attributes.
That's fantastic. What is a typical day like as a franchisee, Chris? From from the moment you wake up till the end of the day and everything else in between.
Yeah, what's interesting about our business is sort of the mornings aren't usually too rough, right? Because most of the lessons occur in the evening. So it's interesting, and they don't go late into the evening. So it's actually a nice lifestyle business for many people. But you're giving lessons, not you personally, but your instructors will be giving lessons. You'll be managing the schedule, which is, which kids are coming in. You occasionally get cancellations of some other things, so you're always dealing with that, or your studio coordinator, as we call them, who might be working phones, is doing that. Hopefully you'll be out there in the community, sort of finding ways into the schools, offering free concerts, doing some other things, your community outreach and mapping your community. But beyond that, it's basically what we do. You might be on the phone with a local venue that you're trying to schedule your May shows, right? We have a couple show seasons, but that's largely the meat of what you're doing. And in our Little Wing program, I didn't mention, but is a portable program, so it doesn't have to be delivered in the physical footprint of the school. You can go out and partner with preschools and nursery schools. So you might be calling on them and saying, hey, we'd like to, offer an enrichment program as part of what you have to the children at your school, and we'll come in and we'll deliver a preschool music program. So you might be doing that as well.
That's interesting. You're talking about the school, Chris. What's the location like? I mean, is there like an ideal location, and how much space is required?
Yeah. So, I've been in a lot of different retail concepts over the years, and I always think about retail as a spectrum. On one end, you need hyper or high convenience, and on the other end, you might be a pure destination, and we're somewhere in the middle. If you're McDonald's or if you're Starbucks, you need to be main on main in terms of your location. We don't need to be that. We like to have a location within the community that's not inconvenient, but it is partly a destination, right? But you're going there once or twice a week, so you don't want to be terribly inconvenient. So we like to say, if you're a couple blocks off of Glory, you're fine, right?
Okay.
But what would be really wonderful is if the signage, if you get some marketing benefit from the signage. So if there's some visibility, you don't want to be tucked in behind, trees and in the backwoods, but you don't have to be main on main. And in terms of, once the community learns you're there, it becomes more of a destination as long as it's not out of the way. If you can be near where people live and go to school, that's great. And in terms of the size, they range in size, but, we probably have the smallest one that I'm aware of is around 1,800 square feet, and the largest one probably goes up to 5,000. But I would tell you that the sweet spot is sort of in that 2,500 to sort of max 3,000 range is what I coach our franchisees into. And that, it's dictated because you need a few rehearsal rooms and you need some some lesson rooms and some space that in the front where there's a reception area.
That's great. Maybe you could tell a little bit about your involvement with Because, Chris.
Yeah, sure. So my, at least for the past 15 years or so, I've been in the retail side or retail industry, and I had a business partner and I who ran McDonald's Ventures. And McDonald's Ventures was the captive sort of equity group underneath the McDonald's Corporation. We had brands in that portfolio that included Chipotle. It included Pret a Manger, which is a London-based brand that's now in the U.S. We had Donato's Pizza Company. We had Boston Market. We also built Redbox from scratch. I chaired that company from basically one location to 12,000 before we sold that to our partner Coinstar. But when McDonald's decided not to sort of invest in additional brands, my partner and I stepped out and ended up forming this company called Because. And the name is interesting, and it sort of goes to why I enjoy doing what I'm doing so much at School of Rock, which is we have a fundamental belief that the best brands and the greatest businesses in the world are driven by a purpose that's bigger than their actual product. And that's why the firm is called Because. And what we do is we partnered with investors, and we bring not only an investor acumen to the table, but we bring this sort of deep understanding of emerging retail brands. And we like to get very involved operationally with these brands. And the truth is that's how I ended up becoming involved with School of Rock, and it clearly checked the box in terms of having a purpose that's bigger than their product. As a matter of fact, when I joined that company, I asked if we could have a purpose summit, and we ended up having that and recasting the brand. And for people that might have been aware of School of Rock early in its life, there used to be a tagline associated with the business that said, saving rock and roll one kid at a time, which is sort of cute and interesting.
Sure.
But I didn't believe that was really the purpose of the business, to save rock and roll. And we got parents and franchisees and employees together and some outside experts, and we ended up, after 2 days of doing fun exercises like cutting pictures out of a magazine that represent the brand and things like that, with a new sort of purpose, and that's inspiring the world to rock on stage and in life. And that's really what we're driven by. That's why School of Rock deserves to exist as a company. And that sort of ties back to this idea of Because and our firm and sort of what we're about and what we believe in.
Wow, it's fantastic. Because you're the CEO, I can ask you, Chris, I mean, where do you see the company in the future as far as goals, 3-year goal, 5-year goal, goals for the company?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that the big hairy goal is the one I just listed as our purpose.
Yeah,
We really want. I mean, it's easy to sort of talk about monetary goals, and I'll give you some sort of metrics that I think about in my head. But I start with, my goal is to inspire the world to rock on stage and in life. Really, that's what we're here to do. And you can't do that overnight. And the more facilities that we build, and the more we bring that to as many people as possible, the closer we get to achieving that goal. Of course, you never achieve this goal. That's one thing about purpose. It's unachievable.
Right.
But you can sort of always strive to get better. So at the highest level, that's our goal. What does that mean? I think in the U.S., realistically, we've mapped the U.S. We know where all the logical places for School of Rocks are, and depending on how you draw those lines, we think we can have 300 to 500 in the U.S. and a multiple of that internationally. We haven't obviously mapped the whole globe. And, we see probably getting to that number, over sort of the next 5 years to have the U.S. fully built out. We're at 108 now. We're expecting to sort of be, call it 130 plus open by the end of the year. And that's a lot of growth for a company our size. And we have, quite a few territories that are committed, as I like to say, either through development agreements or are sold but not open. We call them SNOs. That sort of is a number that's north of 130, obviously. So that's where we're heading. But I'd like to be in maybe another country or two in the next 18 months. And, I'd like to be 150, 160, schools open and operating in the next, 18 months. I think we're very much on a path to get there.
That's exciting. What's the best way, Chris, for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Are there any websites they should go to, any phone numbers that you'd like to call?
The easiest way to do it is go to schoolofrock.com, and on the upper right, there's a franchising link. You can click on that, and you'll be able to fill out a form and do whatever you need.
That's fantastic. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, Chris. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'd already like to invite you back next year as you continue to grow. I think this is a wonderful concept.
Thank you so much, Marty. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much, Chris. Have a great day, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interests and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now for almost 2 years, with 100 shows under our belt, and during that time frame, we've had some incredible guests and some incredible quotes on the show. Today, you're going to get to hear from the Chief Executive Officer of the Rita's Franchise Opportunity, and take a listen to what Jim says about trust, respect, and belief. And for the very first time with our partnership with Blog Talk Radio, Franchise Interviews is now allowing some unique sponsorship opportunities to franchisors to help you reach a large audience of prospective franchisees. So enjoy. Here's a message from our sponsor, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Our partners, what is it that we're looking for? So separate from the commitment and the passion and the integrity and wanting to work hard, you need to do something else for that franchisor. And so whether it's Rita's or it's, I heard you talk about the other concepts that you have coming on, you need to do 3 things with that franchisor, because a franchisor does it with you. It's about trusting that franchisor, respecting the franchisor, and believing in the franchisor. Trust, respect, and believe. Because if you're going to become a franchisee, as my father used to say, we paid this fee and we pay a royalty of every dollar. It's our responsibility to be able to believe in these guys and respect them and trust them. And it's difficult over the years, 20 years with Wendy's, 19 years. I'll be very honest. There was many ups and there were many downs. But there was never a point that we never believed in the concept and we didn't respect the guys. That was very important. So what I try and express and preach to our partners, because we do it internally, and I want them to feel the same, is to trust us, believe in us, and respect us. And if you do that, then we're going to be successful together. Because if you go back to the beginning, it's why you bought the concept. And not everybody should be a franchisee, but if you take that route and you make the commitment of a franchisee, then do as the company suggests and recommends. Because go back to why you made the decision to become a franchisee, and the headline, to trust them, respect them, and believe in them, because they do with you.
And I think you're not going to have a problem getting that with future franchisees and, of course, your stores now, because of your so many years as being a franchisee. You're thinking just like them. You know what they want and think and everything. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I wish, I got to be honest, I wish it was that simple. It isn't. Can I mention something else that I've really been working on, talking about, articulating a lot? And we branded it the 5 C's, which I think is important. Not that I think, I believe is important for this concept to be successful and to have many, many more years. We're celebrating, which is pretty historical. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary next year, which is, I remember I was with Wendy's when they did their 25th. It's a big deal. There's very few that celebrate 25 years. But anyway, we branded it at the 5 C's, and I won't go through them, but I'll just quickly give you the words. The first one is a commitment to the Rita system, and they're all self-explanatory, but that's number 1. Right. Number 2 is the consistency, and I really drive that from the consistency from the store operations first, but then everything that we do as a franchisor and a franchisee, we need to be consistent, because we all of us, everybody wants to do the right thing, and we all want to be good. And if we have this concept of being consistent and doing it every day, we got a better chance. The third is communication. And to me, we never get, as I say, I'm not an expert. We are constantly thinking about how to improve the communication. It is our lifeblood. It's our conduit. This is a partnership. And communication is the key to any relationship, husband and wife, siblings, whatever. It's communication. 4 is the R&D, research and development. I can go through the products that we introduced this year. We introduced one last year, and we're going to introduce more next year, is because we as customers, guests, want to have more of a variety of products. And then the last one, and probably the most important, and this is a major one, and I call it embracing change. Because the world is changing quick, but it's more than change. We need, as individuals, to embrace it. We need to embrace it and be a part of it and be in support of it, because change is difficult. I guess I've gone through it. I have many experiences of being difficult with change. I'm at the opposite extreme. I look for change. I want change. I promote change, because if we're not changing, then we're going to be left behind. This world, the business world, the franchise world, the guests are changing so fast. We need to be changing with them. And it's so difficult to be embracing it. So
I think that's, great points, Jim. The change is part of life, and, even some of your, most well-known concepts, the McDonald's and so forth, always have to be going through changes and adapting and so forth. So that's a good point to have that attitude. You're like the professor, Jim. I'm here, writing frantically, taking notes. You're doing a great job here.
Thank you. That's not my intent, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Talk a little about.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. I will see you next week with another edition of Franchise Interviews.